chances
Right.
in
No, I
network
agree with you.
marketing because they're just hungry and desperate and
Agree.
and just move too quickly, I think.
I agree.
Oh, and with a lot of topics like I bring up, it's a lot of people try to do an either or, like either it's relational or it's based on business. I always say, why can't it be yes? Because at that point, you're trying to develop relationships so that you can do business. And that's
Right.
not a bad thing.
No.
That's where you trust the person to do. You know, like you said, Ricky, you want to make sure that they're going to stay. They're going to be
Right.
consistent.
Exactly.
You want to make sure they're a quality person that you're going to refer with, and then you want to make sure they have the expertise to keep writing business.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of different variables, and people just simply think because they're a body in the room that they're going to get something.
That's right.
Yeah,
Todd,
that's
I can see you didn't get the dress code memo today.
Hmm.
It's all solid colors today.
All solids?
Yeah,
I'm
you
sorry.
didn't get that email?
I'm patriotic. I believe in stars and stripes, and
Go ahead, Ricky.
since I'm the star, I just needed stripes.
How was
No,
the outdoor venue, Ricky?
The solid shirts don't look wavy
Right.
on Zoom. If
Any
you wear-
pattern, you're right.
the patterns kind of look wavy, almost like hold still because you're making me dizzy, you know.
So you're saying I'm making you guys sick? Is that it? What you're trying to tell me?
No,
Thanks a
just
lot.
dizzy.
Just
Dizzy and dopey.
Oh yeah, right.
Like we're having a drug episode, Todd.
Flashback.
Well, I guess Dick and David got the memo that it was sweater day. I didn't get that.
There you go.
Well, no, I guess Randy did too, didn't you?
I got the sweater day.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Mako asked you, Ricky, how the outdoor venue was last night.
I missed it.
I can say that, but tell him from your perspective. I actually, Grover and I were there. Rick Rawson was there, and then some other.
And I watched some of it today on Facebook.
And some of the RGW other fans were there, so it was a great turnout. We had a good crowd there. They do have those little heaters. I'm a little cold-blooded, so
It was cold last night.
it was a little chilly, but I just stood up by the table. I just could stand up close to that little heater, and it kept me nice and warm. So
From about 6 to 9, it was pretty good. After 9, it started getting pretty cold, and everybody was staying close to the heaters. But the thing about that place is, not only are the customers nice and you love to go to some place where there's nice, people hanging around. The owner is super nice, and he actually paid us the Friday night, Saturday night price by surprise, even though it was a Thursday night. And of course, all of the patrons were very generous, and it was a very profitable and very good fun time for us, so it went by like that.
Wow.
We never even sat down. Did you realize that we stood that whole 3 hours?
Wow.
And we were just having fun communicating with the customers and people coming up to us and talking about Johnny Cash, and all these kind of things.
The Facebook post, the only negative comment is, and again, I don't know, it seemed like wherever you had the microphone to record for Facebook was picking up more of the audience noise than it was the music and singing noise.
It's people in the audience with their iPhone just going boop, So it wasn't a professionally kind of done.
Oh, is that? Oh, okay. Well, that's all right.
Guess who had the best sound? And he's not here today.
Who?
Rick Rawson. Rick Rawson knows how to do those live video things, and he walked away from the most noise, and he zoomed around and got everything, but then I guess he realized where the crowd noise was, and he walked away from that. And if you look at anything Rick Rawson does, he seems to be well aware of the sound going around.
So that was
Everybody
all
else, everybody else just,
recorded with a phone?
it's all recorded with iPhones.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
look
And
like
I'm
it. I
not
mean,
recording it. It's other people are
right.
recording it.
And I've
Somebody
never
might
been
pick
there.
up my phone, and do it. Some of the funnest recordings that I like to hear is when Dave is recording and he's singing with us. I like that.
Now, if
Yeah.
you were eating inside, could you hear you as well?
Yeah,
Did
they
they
had
have?
the doors open.
Okay.
Yeah, it's they do a nice job there. It
Seems
was
like a big place.
actually it's we were talking to the owner, or whatever he was saying. It's he has like 3 restaurants because if you go there, there's a restaurant that faces 544,
Right.
and then there's a little hall. There's the restrooms. There's a little hallway, and then there's the restaurant that inside part that's really kind of in that parking lot, and then there's the outside restaurant. And he had his whatever capacity in each of those locations. So he
Oh,
basically
wow.
said he had like 2 restaurants. For Thursday night, had 2 restaurants worth of people. Now, the very front restaurant that faces 544, you couldn't hear the music, and I
Okay.
don't think they had it piped through the
What kind of
sound
food?
system. Somewhat eclectic. I actually had ribs, which were very good, and I mean, it's kind of like I hate to say it that general. It's kind of like bar food.
Okay.
Um,
But
I
there's
mean,
nothing wrong with that.
which is usually, I mean, historically is usually good,
Right.
because people go there and they really want you to drink, but you go there and you eat some good food, and they
Right.
make more margin with the. So it's that kind. But I haven't had anything. I haven't had that much of their maybe 5 or 6 things on their menu, but everything that I've had
Me too.
is good.
They're deviled
By the way, I
eggs
just noticed
sprinkled
that
with.
Todd went out and changed because everybody that's joined since then is all solids.
Yeah, they're deviled eggs sprinkled with bacon. Oh my gosh,
Oh yeah,
Anything with bacon.
it's so good. Well, my singing partner did a Good Samaritan thing. Uh, we took a 5-minute break, and these two guys walked up and said, and they were a little bit over overserved, and they said, "Man, we wished we had come a little later to hear y'all sing." Says we've about drank everything we could possibly drink, and she hands a menu to him. Says, "Well, eat something before you go out and drive." So they sat down and outside and ate
Oh, good.
and listened to our music, and she may have saved the day right there because they
Good,
needed to
Sam.
eat something and uh and to go with all they had drank.
That's pretty cool.
All right, we got about 2 minutes. Just saw it turn over. So, how's everybody else doing? Gabby, you doing all right?
Yes, I'm doing very well, actually. It's been a good week. Busy week.
Good. Well, I
Yeah.
still owe you a one-on-one now. I feel really bad.
Oh, no, don't feel bad. I totally understand, especially doctor's appointments. Always go over.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, I graduated from my physical therapy, so it was my last session, which I
Excellent.
didn't anticipate the length of time for them to assess me afterwards. So it ended up going into our planned one-to-one, but we'll definitely follow up with that.
Yes, absolutely.
But anyway, so Kathleen, you doing good?
I
Jennifer?
am doing very good.
Well, good.
Just had a really good one-to-one with a friend of mine, and it was very inspiring and very candid. Very
Excellent.
candid our conversation. So it was
Excellent.
good.
That's what you need.
Oh, well, thank you.
Inspiration.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We talked about everything under the sun, so it was it's really good.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's when I talk about the connecting to people, there's always those opportunities when you have one-on-ones with folks. I always enjoy when you find your people, or you find somebody that you really align with and resonate with, or that you can talk and you get into things, you go places you weren't expecting to go. That's always kind of fun. So
yeah.
Excellent.
Hey, Randy, I appreciate you wearing that University of Texas burnt orange shirt. I know you're not originally from Texas, but thank you for hanging in there with us.
I appreciate that. It was inadvertent, but I'm an equal opportunity supporter.
Well, you're from God's country, aren't you, Randy? The island?
Excuse me?
You're from God's country, the island, right?
The island. Yes, I am. I was born in Brooklyn, raised on Long Island, as we say, and spent 30 plus years in Massachusetts.
Mm. Nice.
And then my grandchildren are being raised in Massachusetts.
All right. Well, it's noon, and I'm expecting there's quite a few more that have RSVP'd, so we'll see who comes on. But I want to give everybody that's here on time their chance to introduce themselves, even though it looks like most of us, I think everybody pretty much knows everybody, but I do want to honor you for being here and go through that. So I'm going to shift it to speaker view, and I'm going to start, actually, let me mute everybody just to give everybody start, and then I'll go through the normal list of alphabetically by your first name. And we'll go through this, and I'll try and catch everybody that gets here before Randy introduces me. So anyway, Dick Buck, you're on, buddy. Need to unmute. Oh, he's actually on the phone. Oh, yeah, he's on the phone. So I just saw him. Okay, so Gabby.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle Beebe with Modern Woodman Fraternal Financial Services. I work with individuals from 15 to 80, develop a financial plan according to their current needs and future needs. But I'm currently looking to partner with nonprofits in the area. So if you know any, let me know. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Gabby. All right. Let's go to Jennifer.
I'm Jennifer. I am a QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor, and I'm looking to support female business owners with their finances. And also, the referral for me would be a CPA who has business he would like to pass my way. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good to see you as always. Okay, Kathleen.
Hey everyone, y'all know me, Kathleen with Ebby Halliday Realtors. I just want to take a turn a little bit. I had a great Zoom meeting yesterday with several assisted living executive directors. Talked about my SRES, and they know how important that is for a realtor to have senior real estate specialist designation. It's really a great day, and things really are moving right along. So I'm Kathleen with Ebby Halliday Realtors. Honesty and integrity you can count on.
Great. Thanks, Kathleen. Good to see you. Okay, Mako.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mako, and I'm a printer. My brother Art and I own and operate Bullet Graphic Center. We're a small commercial printing operation out in East Texas. Not East Texas, East Plano. I'm sorry. Good to see everybody.
All right, Mako. I was going to say, I didn't realize you were originated in East Texas. Okay. I thought the Philippines was a little further than that, so a little further east of that. Okay, let's go to, let's see, Mike Dressel.
All right, good morning, everybody. Or actually, now it's afternoon. I'm Mike Dressel. I'm your medical insurance expert. One of the reasons I'm an expert is I actually follow everything that's going on in my industry. So as of yesterday, the president just made it where we're having another open enrollment starting February 15th. What does that mean? Actually, it means that we have options for people again. They don't have to have a qualifying event. If anybody's frustrated with their medical insurance, now is the time to do it. We're trying to do better benefits and better rates. Mike Dressel, medical insurance expert.
Great. Thanks, Michael. Dick, are you back with us? Okay.
I'm Dick Buck, and I'd like to help you think like a square in order to build business with SWOT analysis and Ansoff's matrix.
Great. Thanks, Dick. We'd like to think like a square too. If you don't know what he's talking about, schedule a one-on-one because he did a great spotlight kind of sharing those things with you. So definitely want to hook up with Dick. Okay, Marv Williams.
Mark Williams helping individuals who are struggling with various ailments or just want to be proactive to stay healthy or eliminate odor problems, all that in a single common device. This here is a personal purifier suspends for your neck, ideal anybody struggling with allergies. And a single room unit like this is certainly ideal for bathrooms, laundry rooms, or anybody struggling with pet odors. And this afternoon, I will be making about an hour from now a 5 gallon drum delivery of alkaline water for a customer here in the area that gets this 5 gallon drum about every 2 weeks. Remember, folks, now more than ever, it's your health that's your greatest wealth.
Great, Marv. Thank you. Good job. Okay, Randy.
Good afternoon, everybody, on this wonderful, beautiful Friday. You know me, I'm your retired consultant. I've spent my entire career fixing all sizes of businesses, all kinds of businesses, and helping them grow not only the top line, but the bottom line. And now I'm available to do that to this group at no charge, no cost to you. And I'm just finishing up with a client that I've been helping him write a book. And the book is going to print this month. And so I'm looking forward to it. My info is in the chat.
Great, Randy. Always appreciate you, brother. Ricky Jean.
Well, Ricky Jean Wright, you can see around my room here, I kind of involved in music a little bit. And but I do other things too. I've been this is my 10th year as a merchant services credit card processing consultant. I've also one time in my life held the papers from a denomination church here in the United States as a traveling evangelist. And I'm just a colorful character that you might want to have a one-on-one with, Ricky Jean Wright.
Thanks, Ricky. And that's definitely true. So, yeah, if you want to have a colorful time, talk to Ricky. Okay, Todd, you're up.
Okay. A lot of people are talking, I'm a life insurance buyer, and a lot of people are talking about getting a 30-year mortgage. And then at the end of the time period, they can get their money back. There are programs that do that. I get a life insurance program where you get a term, a 30-year mortgage, and after 30 years, I'll give you back whatever you paid into it, plus about $300,000. What do you think about that? I'm Todd Brewster. I'm a life insurance buyer.
Great, Todd. Thank you. I think that's great. Okay. All right, Randy, I'm going to go ahead and you can open your mic. And my mic is opened. And I am recording, so you can start anytime.
Well, welcome to the Friday edition of Richardson Plano Networkers. Today's topic is making 2021 the year your network increases your net worth. And Dave Roberts is our guest speaker today. So for those who are wondering how to truly build and leverage your network, we talked a lot about this during the pre-conversation. Dave will share the fundamentals that answer your question. During this educational session, attendees will learn how the best networkers and community builders build and sustain their network community, what has changed for 2021 that will impact your success, why should you care about your network more than ever, when to take a leadership role in your network community. I think that's an important one we need to really tackle. And where do we go from here? Dave Roberts, who's known worldwide as the Vision Warrior, has dedicated his life to changing the world one dream at a time by helping aspiring leaders discover, clarify, and progress toward their dream vision and building communities of servant leaders. He's the author and creator of the Vision Challenge, the host of one of the fastest growing podcasts, Warrior versus Zombie, and soon to be the author of Vision Warrior, Survive and Thrive in the Zombie Apocalypse. During his 45 years of business transformation leadership, Dave has spoken to tens of thousands of aspiring leaders and has been the driving force behind the growth and transformation of numerous organizations and individuals, leading to billions of dollars in sales and immeasurable impact. His 30 years in corporate America included numerous roles in GM and EDS, where he worked with Fortune 500 companies in all industries, culminating in his final role as a partner of Accenture, where he helped build their outsourcing process. Retiring in 2005, Dave began his pursuit of his vision of impact and making a difference. Since that time, he has clarified that vision and consulted with many for-profit and not-for-profit businesses to include a 3-year stint as executive director and pastor. Currently, he is still retired, living his ideal day as CEO of My Vision Warrior, co-founder of the Business Growth Network, Vision Warrior for My Wellbeing Compass, and leader of Richardson Plano Networkers, founder of Men's Breakfast Networking, and founding affiliate of Be Connected. With all that, would you please welcome our speaker for today and our leader, David Roberts.
Thank you, Randy. That was awesome as always. I appreciate that. For those who know me, can you, number one, I'm bringing up my slides right away here, so let me get that going. And we don't mean to wear you out with the bio and background, but I do want to share with you that I've gotten a lot of feedback from people who've either joined in or even whatever, saying, okay, I didn't realize. Have you ever had a one-to-one with somebody, and this is networking, so let's talk a little bit, and you learned a lot of things about them that you didn't pick up on their 30-second commercial. Right. Or maybe you've heard them or seen them many times, but you didn't realize one thing. I mean, I know I've heard spotlights from Dick Buck and virtually most everybody here that are members, and every time I'm always fascinated by what we learn. So we only listen about halfway. So when you go through those introductions, I know that sometimes, even though they're essentially the same one every time, there are things to pick up. By the way, just so you know, I did start the recording during our informal session, so hopefully nobody said anything really too incriminating, but I don't think it was. And the real intention there was some of the feedback that I got, and Randy knows this, is that doing in this new world of building relationships online, building relationships via Zoom, running a networking group, if you're thinking about doing that and want to incorporate the online component, I strongly encourage you to, if you're trying to build community, build network, to really consider having a time of check-in, having a time of informal, to allow people to just talk about that. I just had a one-on-one with Esther Kim, who has joined our group. She was supposed to come on today, may or may not, but she's from Washington State, and she's been coming to this group now for a couple weeks. And she's coming because largely we kind of blew her away because she's been trying to figure out how to do this networking thing online and whatever. And she intimated that she learned a lot from how we did it and really felt connected to us, even though she's 2,000 miles away or whatever. So it's really kind of bizarre when you really think about the possibilities. And so that's one of the things I wanted to say. So I recorded this for those that maybe didn't make it to the meeting or tend to come in at the last minute, and you can kind of get a little bit of sense of what kinds of things we talk about, what's going on. It's not really that earth-shattering, but you can see where relationships begin, relationships start to make a difference. So the purpose of this whole series on Fridays has been to stay connected and not just survive the pandemic and to survive forward, but to thrive. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I want to give you a little bit of backdrop. And by the way, if you hang around after I do the talk, Lynn O'Neill a couple weeks ago mentioned a video on YouTube, And I was going to do it during our informal time at the beginning, and I thought, I'll just do it at the end for those that want to hang around. I'm going to play that, share that YouTube video with you, just to make you realize, if you're still pretty comfortable in doing what you're doing and thinking nothing's changing, which it's hard for me to believe that there are people that would be in that place. But if you really want to understand and get kind of a little bit freaked out about what it is that's going forward and how that we need to really get focused on some of the things I'm going to talk about today, hang around. I'll share with that video, but it'll be after we adjourn. So anyway, so let's move. Let me move forward here with the first slide. And I just want to say that, as we said, the purpose of this discussion was really making 2021 the year your network became your net worth. And about 4 months ago, we talked about networking, and I got a lot of feedback. If you haven't seen that video, you can go to my YouTube channel where these are housed, or you can go on our Facebook group. It was posted there. But the real question was, what does your network look like? And then how can you leverage it? And obviously, those of us in this face-to-face networking world, we consider our network, I hope, in Richardson Plano Networkers, what we're doing face-to-face as part of our network. But also, there's all these other online sites and everything else. And we spent a lot of time and some time talking about that. I was reviewing that video, and Dick Buck, actually, who's on the call, made the question, or asked the question, and we talked about it, is how do we get the online networking integrated with our efforts? So that's one thing to think about. I'm not going to go there in depth, but I am going to tell you that that is possible, and that's part of my journey right now, is leveraging not only what I'm doing here, but also leveraging my LinkedIn network, Facebook, all the other things, which is not a trivial task. So let's go this. By the way, I have a workbook. It was sent. It's on the Facebook group. Most of you, I think, have it. Randy's holding it up there. If you have any questions that you want to ask as you're going through this, probably the most effective way to do it today, so we can get through the material, is type your question in the chat. Randy, I would ask you to monitor the chat, and then as we get towards the end, I'm going to, rather than have people open mics, is Randy, you can read those questions and who they're from. And so if you have something, so that we don't blow by it, or you say, I never got the answer to that question, I want to make sure you have the opportunity to do that. The other important thing about where we're going here, this was Lynn O'Neill shared this slide in her presentation. And even though I kind of knew this, it really drove it home to where what we're doing in Richardson Plano Networkers, what you are doing as an entrepreneur, small business owner, which 99% of everybody that's in this group really is. And if you look at this, 92% of, in general, in the U.S. marketplace, businesses are in the same boat. We're solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, or have less than 4 employees or less. That pretty much covers most everybody that are regularly in Richardson Plano Networkers. We do have people that are coming out looking for a job, coming in transition. But I just wanted you to realize, if we figure out, and the thing that, and maybe you don't look at it this way, I know some people, and I'm gonna, in this workbook, this will help you get grounded. For me, this is important, because I can take what I'm learning here and make a global impact, learning how to help small business owners connect, build their wealth teams, get effective, not only can help me, but it is a higher purpose. And I think we all should be, if we're not, looking for how can we make an impact beyond just paying the bills. That's what thriving looks like. I mean, obviously, you're taking care of your needs, your business needs, your family needs, your health needs. you're taking care of yourself, because it's hard to take care of other people if you can't overflow if your glass isn't full. So you need to kind of work on yourself. But that being said, knowing that doing what we're going to talk about here well can really impact the world at large and a lot of the business. We talk about the economy. People are worried about the economy. There's a lot of interesting things going on with hedge funds and stock markets and, government changes. And, you can feel like all these things are out of control. But what is in our control is our ability to move forward as business owners. I want to share this with you. Just again, we're in a pandemic. Anybody know that? We're still in it. We haven't come out of it yet. And before we went into the pandemic, this is a normal statistical fact. People just kind of go, oh, okay, yeah. 80% of businesses fail in the first 18 months. So if you're starting something new, or if you lasted more than 18 months, you're doing okay. You're doing better than 80% of the company. So if you've been doing what you're doing for a while, even though maybe you're not satisfied with where you're at, realize that you're still a warrior. You're still on the journey. The other thing is, if you've been doing what you're doing for over 10 years and you're still doing it, you're still either, making a living, still on the journey, again, you're based ahead of 96% of the businesses. And today, we don't even know how bad it is, or we don't know how bad it's going to become, but it's going to be even worse. And so part of why it's important for us to really figure out how to make our network impact our net worth is so that we can impact the net worth or the GDP of the country and the world that we're working in. So really this paradigm shift or this global change that's happening, and it is happening, that was one of the things, the kind of the bottom line message from Lynn O'Neill's talk was, what was isn't going to be. Waiting for it to get back to what it was in 2019 or what it was before the pandemic. So the real question is that going to result in you surviving and being heartbroken for what was behind us? Or are you going to try to seek the opportunities going forward? I submit that most everybody on this call, in fact, probably all of us, are really looking for the latter. We're all looking for making this change that we're all dealing with an opportunity, not something that to lament for the rest of our lives. So really, Albert Einstein said it best: in the midst of every change or challenge lies great opportunity. And the real question is, what's your plan? What are you going to do with it? As it pertains to networking, that's the intent of this workbook. It's really going to really focus in on what's your plan. One of the questions I've got here, and I'll be my slides from my own, so I want to make sure, is, what is it that you've been doing or did last year or even the year before that you're going to do the same thing in 2021? This is somewhat rhetorical, but you need to ultimately write that down, and we're going to come to that in the workbook. What are you going to do more of? In other words, you did some things in 2021 or 2020, or the year that was, as I now call it. I don't even like to say 2020, that you're going to do differently or do more of, and then what are you going to do differently, or maybe even stop now that you've kind of got that behind you. For example, we're not going to stop. We're going to do more Zoom connections and things like that. Even when we get into the room, my goal is to do more face-to-face in 2021 than we did in the year that was. However, things have changed. We're going to leverage both the network that we're building in the room as well as on Zoom. So that, at least from my standpoint, is something I'm going to do more of. And then I'm always learning for focusing on how can I do it better. Not only how can I build my network better, how can I help the people in my network and serve the warriors in my network better going forward. So in your world, in your business, in your all aspects of your life, what are you going to do the same? What are you going to do more of? And then what are you going to do differently or stop doing as we come forward? If you took or went through the workbook on your year in review for 2020, you've got a lot of things that you could probably use to answer those questions. And if you don't have that, that workbook is also in the video or also in our private Facebook group. So what are you focusing on with your network in 2021? We're going to talk about that in the next slides. And how will the best networkers, in my opinion, and from what I've seen thus far, build and sustain their network in 2021? Those are the things we're going to talk about in the rest of this talk, and then I'm going to give you some homework. So where are we focused? I'm not going to spend the whole presentation on this. I've done a number of talks, and you can go again to our Facebook group on how do you build your network? How do you have power when you're walking into the room? How do you do? And it all revolves around what I'm very passionate about, which is the vision challenge, knowing why you're doing things, the reason you're showing up. Why are you coming to this network meeting? Why are you doing what you're doing? What value can you provide or will you provide to the people that are brought into your path, either both in the room or on Zoom or even on some of these other networking sites? And then where are you going to go yourself, and where do you plan to take those people? On the workbook, I said these three focus questions, which are really getting at that. Why am I networking? And there's not a right or wrong answer. That's for you to write down. The second question is, what is my value to the network? If you don't walk into any networking group with the mindset of saying, I'm coming in here to figure out how I can add value, then chances are you're not going to get a lot of traction really fast with that group. And I don't care if the group's on Zoom or in the room, what their focus is, what industry you're talking about. You need to come into the room, even if you feel like the people in the room aren't doing the same things or maybe aren't interested in it. Maybe they are, but what is it that you're bringing? And then finally, where are you going? What is the journey? People want to know what it is that's pulling you forward, because essentially this is where I said in the promotion of this training, where do I take leadership? The first place you take leadership in any networking group is knowing yourself. Know thyself, knowing why you're here, the value you provide, and where you're going. If you bring that to any networking group, you're a leader. People will align. Not everybody's going to say, I'm here for the same reason, or I need that value, or I'm going where you're going. But the reality of it is, if you know that going in, then you are taking leadership. And then what do you want to do with that? That really, as you're looking at your networking activities, I'm going to make this recommendation. Doesn't have to be Richardson Plano Networkers. It could be any group. It could be Richardson Plano Networkers. But wherever you're networking, how do you elevate your leadership? How can you do things? And leadership is everything from Randy taking the lead and introducing our speakers. That's important to me. He's also on early on, a lot of times with the informal networking. A number of you come on to engage with people before the meeting, as well as, obviously just doing your 30 seconds or whatever. And all of that is leadership. Some of you will help when we're back to having events and those kinds of things. And it's just serving the group. What I said, I wanted to share why. I want you to understand what that looks like for me. And I'm saying why warriors are the reason I network, because I'm looking to change the world personally, one dream at a time. And how do I do that? Basically, I'm always looking for warriors. And that comes to me through not only hearing your 30 seconds and getting to know you, but people that I have on my podcast, having one-to-ones. And basically in my podcast, Warrior versus Zombie, I say every episode says, as warriors, we all have a history of ups and downs, wins and losses, yet we move forward. These highs and lows are all part of who we are up to this point, and they provide a foundation for our path forward. Every day we battle our inner zombie as well as those zombies in our world that seek to hold us back. Usually the zombie between your brain, which is the 95% of the thoughts that you think today that you thought yesterday. If you really want to understand what a zombie is, and don't get freaked out, it's more of a fun way to talk about it. But it really is. We have habits that maybe don't serve us and aren't part of our intention. They're just a program running in the background. But warriors, this is the bottom line, move forward. And my dream is to fight alongside warriors and witness the achievement of all they can imagine. When I find those people that are inspired in my network, when I'm out networking, and it doesn't matter where they're at and how I do that because I'm networking all the time, I'm looking for those people. And when I find somebody that's inspired and they're excited and they know why they're doing it, the value they provide, and they're moving forward, then I get inspired. And if I'm inspired enough, then I might be their vision warrior, which maybe helps you understand when I talk about a vision warrior. The real thing is, how do we translate this networking? How does my network fit when I'm looking at my business success? And really, when we look at what we've done up to this point, and now what we're going to do in 2020, there's really three simple, and I say simple, doesn't mean it's easy because there's work involved in everything, but it's three simple keys, and they're really simple. Your network, the tools you have to work with, and the training will ultimately translate into whatever you're able to profit from or that return on investment. Well, I won't get into all the possible returns because there's a lot more returns than just making a sale, making a buck. And I really enjoyed the conversation in the beginning because you guys were talking about some of that stuff, that there are things. And again, there was a lot of great conversation 4 months ago when we talked about this. Really, the biggest difference between great success in 2021 and before is and continued struggle is really your network. Now you say, well, no, I got good product. I got, I'm a smart guy. I'm this or that. Life is a team sport. Business is a team sport. If you don't have a wealth team around you, then you're going to have some needs, or maybe you don't recognize it. And now hopefully this workbook will help you really understand what that looks like. So we're going to talk about this. So the first item on the workbook below focus is critical connections. And I ask you some specific questions. You really need people that you're connected to, and they're really not people that are just inundating you with crap or trying to talk to you about that, but they're really people that you have some affinity towards or whatever. And so the question is, who am I looking to serve? When you walk into the networking group, when you walk in, you're online, you should be looking for people you can serve, not just with what you monetize, but you can serve in general. So the question you want to write down is, who am I looking to serve? The second question, you want to be found by people that are looking for what you provide. Now, a lot of people, you're doing a little mini advertisement on your 30 seconds, you do maybe some posts on LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, and you're hoping somebody finds you. Okay, that's not as effective as what you're doing here in this group, because even though maybe it seems like a smaller group, most of us can do your 30 seconds. Most of us know your tagline if you've been around for any amount of time, because number one, you've said it a number of times. Number two is we care. So the point is, be found by people who really care and are looking for what you have to offer. And then the last one is, who do I need? So when you're talking about critical connections, if when you first come into a networking group or as you go into 2020, know those things, but that is not the end of it. I find that really the critical connections, when somebody looks at joining a network group or getting online with something, That's usually their focus, and it usually kind of stops there. So the best networkers realize that really the more power comes from growth connections, the second part. So, here under the growth connections, I say, who do I want to promote me? Who do I like to partner with? Who would I affiliate with? What events could I benefit from? And what shows could I benefit? And you think about that. Give it some thought, write it down. There's not a right or wrong answer. If there's an area you want to pursue, you can set a one-on-one with me, or frankly, there's a lot of folks even in this group and on this webinar or this call that could probably help you. But really, you're really looking for growth connections, really people who can promote you, people who know what you do. I'm a growth connection because Ricky can tell you, and other people can tell you, I'm always promoting the people in my network whenever I can, on my social sites, whenever I see a post, when you're sharing some stuff. And so I'm always interested in doing that, not just in the closed Facebook group, but even on my own page and in my personal page. Find affiliates that sell your stuff. Maybe there's something you can do and you can partner with somebody. And I know we've had people in the group that would give a referral bonus, or, a gift card or something if they get connections. But whatever the structure is, find people that sell your stuff. Find really people who need speakers, or who need, one of the things I've said many times before when we started these Friday sessions is taking your network to the next level is having something that you can share with a group of people that really establish your interest in serving the group and your expertise. And it shouldn't be necessarily a sales pitch for what you do, but more, how can you serve the group and do it in a group setting? So that's what these presentations are about. And then I have a Warrior versus Zombie podcast. I'm frequently asked to guest on other things. So maybe you don't want to start a podcast, but actually, last week we talked about podcasts and TV shows and things like that. Again, think about in your strategy for growing your network, taking your networking to increase your net worth. Guys like Ricky, Randy, any one of you guys, getting your expertise out there. You've been guests on my podcast. Those are ways that people are going to increase. You're going to increase your credibility. And then finally, strategic connections. These are connections that really, and the next section in here is, who do you find when you're listening to people's 30 seconds or having one-on-ones that might have a complementary offer? Maybe they're going after a similar market or similar client, but you could have a complementary offer that goes along with theirs. Maybe there's people, I say tech wizards here, but we got guys like Mark Weber and Jarrell and a lot of folks that come in that have technology skills that we don't have. The other one is outsourcers to free up your time. Again, if you're spending time, and I say spending because this is the spending of, when you're spending time doing things that aren't your passion and or your expertise, you really have to determine what is that costing you. Now, maybe you think you can't afford it, but for example, Jennifer's on here. If you're struggling with QuickBooks and you're a woman business owner, you really should be talking to Jennifer and seeing if there's something there. I'm trying to get her and my daughter moving forward. But that's because I said, you may understand QuickBooks, you may even know how to do it, but is that what you're really passionate about? If not, give that to somebody that is their business. Figure out how to pay them and free up your time to do more of what you monetize and what you can. But who are those people? Really, what areas could I outsource? Where could I use sales and marketing? We've got a number of people, Rick Rawson, a number of internet and digital marketers, other people that are in our group, and in other groups outside of this. You run into them all the time. You kind of go, okay, yeah, I don't have money for marketing. Let me tell you something. Would you rather take an order or go out and try to sell and qualify and do all that. It'd be nice to have some marketing, inbound sales, inbound people. And frankly, that's what we're doing with our networking, right? Is that's one way of building our people who know what we do, build our marketing effort, build our fans, build our message that goes out there. And then the last one is obviously strategic connections that lead you to the right clients. Sometimes we don't want to exclude anything. So, we want to keep it, we want to keep that thing. So really, who is your ideal client? If you don't know the answer to that question, then, or if you do know, write it either way, write it down. Who is your ideal client? If you don't know the answer, get the answer, write it on this page, because it will then help you get focused going forward. And then the last one is really the world has moved forward. And I'm just telling you, the world is online. And that may make you upset. That hasn't been what's grown my business up to this point. I don't know where to go. There's a lot of things that I get that people have trouble with. I've had a number of conversations. I just don't know how to do it. How am I leveraging? So these are all questions there. So really, how are you leveraging technology? And it's not, don't be, can you leverage it more? Can you do more with Zoom? Can you do more with LinkedIn? Can you do more with Facebook? We're all asking those questions. The problem is that getting the answer seems somewhat overwhelming. And so the other thing is, where do you need training? And it's not training. A lot of times there may be training on things that you don't already know how to do, that you need to do to function in the new world. And they may be things that you need, but other things, again, go back to the outsourcing. So how are you leveraging technology? One of the things is training can really flatten your learning curve. And so nothing will advance you faster than having someone who has done what you want to do just show you how they did it. That's one of the beautiful things about networking. It doesn't have to be necessarily a class, right? On these informal networking calls, we get together and I'll ask dumb questions, and guys like Michael Dressel, who was just talking, I said, I have some questions, and this is an area that I don't want to become an expert in about healthcare, and he gave me some really good insights, and he consistently does that. So that's part of networking. It's learning, it's training. And so the other questions I have here is, what training programs are you planning to invest in? If you're not, why not? Are you just okay? You know everything you need to know? Or could you learn some things? There's a lot of free training. It doesn't have to necessarily cost anything, but then there's a lot of training out there, and then sometimes it's pretty confusing as you go. And then the other questions that I have on this sheet is, who is mentoring me? Who am I mentoring? And what is my impact goal for 2020? So those are the last ones on but the question is, when you're looking at training, when you look at mentoring, when you're looking at being mentored, who do you trust? And that's why part of why you're going to do networking is to try and get to know. And we talked about this whole thing between socially and the social part of it, some of the soft things that we may think, well, what does knowing, Ricky's family history got to do with me doing business with Ricky? Well, what that has to do with is, if I can resonate with him, if he sticks out in my mind, if I know where he's coming from, then it builds my trust. It builds my confidence in him. It also helps me know how to refer him and learn those kinds of things. One of the problems is with this training thing, and this is something I really wanted to just bring out in this setting, because every Friday I bring in speakers. Every Friday I bring in people. Well, not every Friday, but most Fridays, most of those speakers they're either, a lot of them are consultants. They have products and services they want to offer, maybe a program. And this training or this session is usually an entree into that. And I've had, people come on and they go at, and I've done this. I've invested lots of money into programs with different trainers, different coaches. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is you can spend a lot of money. And so one of the things is within our entire package here, not only do we have Richardson Plano networkers, but we have Be Connected. And I know, some of you are said, okay, I looked at it or whatever, or I haven't got around to it. Don't make this an injected value thing. I should or I could. Just realize that there is a resource there for Be Connected. I'm going to take a breath here because before I get into the total land the plane, which I've got about 10 minutes, I really want to go to Randy. Randy, if you can open up your mic. Are there any questions that have come out or comments that you want to read in the chat?
David, so far, no questions. Michael Dressel did have a comment, and I'll just read what he wrote. He said, you can always use more training, even if you know your product. What can you develop within yourself? And I think that's an excellent question. We should be lifelong learners, and you can hear things from other people on this and other networks, and to say to yourself, wow, I'd like to learn more about that. And it makes you not only a better person, it makes you, if you know more what other people do, it makes you a better referral source.
I totally agree, Randy and Michael. That's excellent point in terms of really understanding again your ability to contribute not only to your network as you said, but the more you learn. That is also the reason why we do these Friday sessions and why I have great respect for people. I mean, we have people that come in onto this call that have been in business or been doing what they're doing for a long time, and they probably don't need to, even though it doesn't necessarily cost them anything extra other than their most valuable asset, which is their time. There's probably a lot of the things that I'm talking about today that you already know,
Right.
But there's always something that you can learn over and above what you knew when you came in the room if you're listening.
Right. We did get a second question from Michael, and he asks, can you use Be Connected in a partnership with podcasts?
Use Be...
Maybe he may need to explain that one
yeah,
live.
Michael, you want to open up your mic and kind of explain exactly?
So can you use Be Connected to promote podcasts, I guess is the question I should ask.
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. And the answer is absolutely, because I have probably now 4 or 5 guests that aren't in this network that have become podcast guests, and also those people that have become guests have also, if you understand how you grow your podcast, your guests actually help you grow your podcast because they share their interview and so on. And so, yes, in fact, Be Connected for me that's been one of the return on investments that I have. Is there's quite a few people in Be Connected that have their own podcast. And another way to build a podcast or promote your podcast is to be on other people's podcasts and then mention that you have a podcast. So then they go, oh, well, let me hear more about what he has to say. So yeah, that's a great question. And absolutely, it is more important because let me tell you, there's a lot of people. I mean, people on LinkedIn have reached out to me. Hey, I'd like to be a podcast guest on Warrior versus Zombie. Not that I'm, not always looking for great people, but to be honest with you, I started it to serve you guys. I really started it to serve the people that are closest to me, to help promote them and their business. And that's why I do Warrior versus Zombie. I really don't monetize it. I mean, if it got to be, thousands of downloads instead of a couple hundred, I might really look at that. But right now it's more important. So, but there's a lot of people with podcasts, TV shows, radio shows, other things that are in that community already. And it's not a huge community. I mean, there's maybe 15,000 people.
Okay. Ricky Jean has indicated he has a question. So I guess, Ricky, you want to open your mic and ask it?
Yes. So how do you overcome the fear of time spent and learning curve whenever you're for example, let's just pick out be connected. How do you overcome someone's fear that I just don't have time for another learning curve? I don't have time. Uh, I feel like I'm just in front of the computer all the time when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. How do you how is that overcome personally, and how's that overcome the fear of that?
So there's a couple of answers there. For one, how you overcome the fear of anything is action, which I know which is moving forward in some way. The key is, I believe, it's looking for personally people who are already on the road. Your fear of the road that you're going to now get on, and the journey is largely diminished when you're talking to somebody who's already been down that road and knows where the potholes are and those kinds of things. So having somebody who can mentor you, ask questions of just launching into it. One of the things that I found, even with Be Connected or with anything, learning how to use LinkedIn better. We all tend to want to go out and start with, if we want to tackle it, just it's like by ourselves. But that's one of the powers, Ricky, as you know, of networking, is you of all people have learned a lot of things from people about stuff you didn't already know, right? And you learned it through networking, and it was introduced to you. Maybe you didn't want to jump in and become an expert in that, but you found somebody. And that's the key, is whether it's through Be Connected or Richardson Plano Networkers or some chamber, if you can find somebody that is an expert in what you're not, that you can trust, then that's how you get over the fear. First taking the action, then, teaming with somebody who already knows how to do it. I mean, it's kind of overwhelming to me to think about all the options in healthcare and those kinds of things, using Michael again. But knowing that I can talk to him and say, yeah, I don't really want to spend a lot of time on this with my client, but let me ask somebody who's an expert, and I know enough to be dangerous. And once I know enough to be dangerous, then I know I shouldn't be trying it myself. I should be getting somebody to help me. And then it's a matter of I can't afford to, but how do I afford to engage that person to help me do what I know I need to do? Does that help?
Well, I also have a harder time answering that question for other people. If I tell them, or when I tell them about something like Be Connected or whatever it is,
Right.
there's just this automatic, well, I don't have time for a learning curve, another learning curve.
Okay.
That's
So yeah, and so the biggest answer to that is that's true. Again, it's not I don't have the time or I don't have the money. It's how can I, first knowing that you want to and why you're doing it. That's part of why I created this workbook. Is the first step is, really answering these questions, because if you don't know why you're going into the conversation or why you should even consider any piece of technology, I've been dealing with technology, not a programmer or a technician, but just, or like, somebody like Mark, but just, how do you apply technology for a long time? And yes, everything brings with it kind of an overwhelming learning curve and the fear of, okay, this is going to cost me a whole lot more time and money than I really think it does. Nothing's that easy. I will tell you, everything requires work. It's just most, when it comes to most of these, the most way to overcome it is to tell somebody how you overcame it. If in fact if you're talking to somebody that you're not about a tool or a technology you're not using, you're never going to overcome that question, right? But if you're using it, you're applying it, you know what it takes, then you can help bridge that gap with any technology or any answer. Hopefully that helps.
David, yeah,
any other questions?
Lloyd has a comment. If you would, Lloyd, open your mic and speak away.
Yeah, Ricky, I would use the old feel, felt, found. Essentially, it goes something like this. Hey, I know how you feel. I felt that way at first, but I found that actually taking the time to go through this learning curve really built my business.
Right.
Right? It's like Dave just got through saying, if you're doing it, then you've got credibility,
Right.
It's a no-brainer. Yeah, I
Yeah,
felt that.
you may be just 2 steps ahead of them on the road, but at least you can tell them how to take those 2 steps. And
Yeah,
then you probably know some other people down the road that are a little further, right? That once you get there, and maybe you're moving faster than the guy than Ricky Jean Wright, and so you all of a sudden you want to talk to somebody else. Well, Ricky Jean, you can introduce them to somebody else, and so on and so forth. So that's part of it. Again, that's part of the team sport. So feeling confused and overwhelmed is actually a natural state of being when it comes in our world right now, and for sure when you're doing technology. The thing is, when it comes to any of these tools, whether it's Be Connected or whatever, you're usually, if it's not something that's already out there in mass quantities, and we can talk about that all day long. If you're looking to innovate, that's where Be Connected is in very early stage, and a lot of the conversation we're having right now, and how do we take and leverage these efforts, and do even with Zoom. I mean, there's been a ton of people on it. A lot of people say they're experts on it, but we're still, I think, very much in it. Kind of reached a tipping point when the pandemic hit, but not just being on Zoom, but applying it and everything else. There's a huge learning curve ahead. I've got a lot to learn. I've been using it for multiple meetings every week and leading meetings, and there's things that I have to learn there. So one of the things is, just in closing with Be Connected, is all this training that I'm showing you here. If any of these things can help you, or you're thinking, I need more help on sales and leadership, or how to get, what I do with my connections when I get them, or building your brand, or, online business, or even, all those things are available to you at a discounted price because of our association representation with, or relationship with Be Connected. So if you have questions about that, I can share that. And basically, it's normally $299 for all those programs, and we get it for a 25% for $224. And so anyway, that's all the commercial there. But I just want you to understand that there are things, if you do go through, I would recommend you go through that networking to your net worth. Think about where you're at. Think about what you need to take your business more online, or leverage what you're already doing, or integrate what you're doing, or make more sense of it. And then there's a resource that you have available to you in this group that also will serve the group as well. So with that, there's special bonus. There's a travel savings passport that you get, and here this is the link for our Be Associated, the rpnetworkers.beconnected.com, and I will post that in the chat. I'm going to exit now the stop share so I can go to the grid and see everybody.
Hey, David,
go ahead.
we got two things. Michael asked, is there a podcast training in the Be Connected materials? And then after you answer that, Dick Buck would like to ask a question.
First question, I don't believe so, but somebody was actually talking about doing one that's got a much more successful podcast than me. One of the things about Be Connected is that back office or back end of training is growing. There is training on how to use YouTube videos, create those kinds of things, how to use Facebook and so on. I don't think there's a specific podcast training, but members, I know members have requested that, so I'm pretty sure that's going to happen pretty soon. So the other question, was there another question, or was it Dick?
Dick said he had a question, but I don't see him on the grid.
Yeah, I'm not seeing him.
He may have dropped off.
So. Maybe he got disconnected.
Okay.
But anyway, so thank you everybody for that. That's pretty much it. I really would encourage you, and anybody that invests in filling out this workbook and for themselves. I'm not looking to fill it out for you, but if you fill it out, answer those questions best you can, and you're still trying to figure out, okay, so what should be my theme or what should I be focused on in 2021 as far as it pertains to networking or whatever. I'll post before I leave here a link so you can book a one-to-one. We can do it via Zoom. I'd be happy to brainstorm with you, think about how to help you with any of those things. I'm here. I do what I do here because it's, to me, if you understand, it's more of a ministry to me. I want to serve you guys first, and then if money flows out of it, it's a beautiful thing, but that's not my first priority, nor is it the first priority of Richardson Plano Networkers. I think that's why a lot of you are here. And I know that most of you bring that mindset to all of our conversations. So
let me just add, everybody can come off mic, and let's give Dave a round of applause. I know we kind of expect it from him because he's our leader, but it always adds an enormous amount of value to what we do.
Thank you, David.
Thank
awesome.
you. That was really well.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the encouragement and the acknowledgement. I'm going to post my direct link, just so you know. For those of you, I'm updating I'm working on one of the things and I'm getting some help with it. So back to getting my website updated. So some of the things, but the direct link for booking me does work. Some of the other things don't, like the zombie quiz and things. So if you see that, but go ahead and book that. I just posted the booking site. And then what else did I promise I would post? I posted in the email that I just sent out to everybody, the link to our Facebook group if you don't have that. And
that's in the chat.
Yeah.
There's a booking in the chat.
Yes.
Everybody. Not everybody checks the chat.
Right. I just put it in the chat. So check that before you leave if you're interested in that. And then if you haven't gone to the website for Be Connected for what we have to offer, that's our RP Networkers. That's where you can check it out. You can look at the videos, poke around. You can sign up for a free membership, or you can sign up for the discounted paid memberships. Just to be clear, a couple of people asked the question, but if you sign up for a free membership, that's fine. It's great to do that. There's nothing that flows back to Richardson Plano Networkers for that. But if you do any of the paid memberships, the Richardson Plano Networkers gets revenue or gets funding for that. So just so you know. Gabby, good to see you. Looks like she had to hop off. So, but
Jennifer had to hop off too.
Next week we have speakers on the calendar for next week. Next week is going to be on integrity and using integrity to fuel your business, which is kind of a cool talk that we've got coming next week. So I think you'll enjoy that. I sent it out. Please RSVP as early as possible for all the meetings, including Men's Breakfast Network next week. It will help me plan things, and appreciate everybody. Thanks, Lloyd. I always appreciate seeing you, brother. Kathleen, appreciate you.
I think she was saying goodbye.
Yeah, I saw it. Anyway, thanks, guys. I appreciate any feedback. I'm working on this. This is a talk. I'm getting some requests from other groups on networking and how to do things in a new environment. And some of them have some specific, what I would call tactical things, but a lot of them are really struggling with the fundamentals of just why we're doing it, how we're going forward, what they have to get their heads around. And it starts with the leadership of the group. One of the things I didn't say in the group is if you want to go lead a networking group, I talked to somebody who isn't on the call, and I'm not going to mention their name, who is part of a quite new networking group that's been part of, coming into our group a little bit. And, I start asking these questions and I don't get really good answers. Or at least in answers as to why you want to lead that group. Because if you don't know what it is, why you're doing it, whatever, even coming into the group, setting up a group to lead it isn't going to yield you the results that you're hoping for, in my opinion. So anyway, Steve, how you doing, buddy?
Enjoy it. I gotta run. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Todd.
Take
Good
care,
to see you,
Todd.
brother.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking. 15 minutes late today, and I sure don't like that, but I had something that absolutely had to be taken care of.
Hey,
Enjoyed
no-
today's presentation. I wish I'd seen the first 15 minutes.
No
It'll
regrets.
he's recording it. So
You probably came on afterwards, but I actually, interestingly enough, I started recording in our informal time and then recorded through the 30 seconds and then into my talk. So you can, and I'm gonna share the whole thing, which makes it a little longer video, but I'm gonna put the whole thing up there so there are still people that go, what do you guys actually, how does Friday different than Wednesday? Or what really goes on before we actually officially kick off the meeting and those kind of questions. And I say, well, you need to get on to see, but it is unique and powerful in a lot of cases. So
I don't feel that I'm pitching myself on Friday. I honestly, I feel very relaxed listening.
yeah.
And so much of the rest of my life, I feel like I have to be talking to be present, and that's a hard thing to cure,
Yeah, for sure. Well, I always appreciate you, Steve. We haven't known each other except we got on this Zoom, and I'm glad that the God presented that opportunity for us to get to know you. So hopefully we can actually see each other in person before too long. Hopefully everybody gets vaccinated or whatever they need to be comfortable in getting out into this wild west and doing things face to face. I'm still an extrovert. I can't help it. And I just,
yeah, I mean, my number is 13,425, so I don't think it'll be anytime soon.
oh, is that right? Is that what you got actually a number?
Yeah, you go in Collin County, they have a website to register, and they tell you what your number is. And based on, the rate they're going, I'm figuring it'll be late summer unless something changes.
Yeah, well,
such is life.
Yeah. Well,
the
good news is sometimes when it comes to, even with vaccines or any new technology, it's sometimes better to be on the leading edge or fast follow than it is on the bleeding edge.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
I agree.
I kind of look at it, and again, for those of you who know me, I have a very, I'm pretty grounded in turning it over to God when I don't understand it. And I just feel like, if I can't get it, I can't get the vaccine because I've had COVID within the last 90 days.
Right.
And it doesn't matter my age, doesn't matter anything. Not that I'm really clamoring to get it, to be honest with you,
right.
But they don't know what it looks like for somebody who has had the virus and still has the antibodies to take the vaccine. You with me? So they don't know that. So they're kind of push guys like me that have had it within the last 90 days to the back of the list, which again is okay with me because, if they're going to find out anything that that I need to be aware of, I'll probably have more information.
Well, theoretically, if you've had it, if you've been exposed to and have had COVID, you have developed a certain amount of immunity.
Right. Yeah. It's not guaranteed.
Right.
And unless you get the antibody test, you don't even know if you have the antibodies. And some people, it's kind of like more people have them than don't that actually get the virus. But there are some people that get the virus and don't have the antibodies.
Right.
So that's kind of the weirdness of it. But again, it's a variant of the common cold, so they haven't come up with a year-on-year vaccine for the common cold either. So I think it's just a nature of the beast. So, but anyway, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not a fatalist or a nihilist or anything. I just believe that if I'm meant to have it or to do it, you know, I got to be as smart as I can and as healthy as I can and do it, whatever. And then
That's your best
and
defense.
then the best thing, you know, I trust in my maker, and then beyond that. So,
Amen.
No. Y'all have a great day.
thanks,
Yeah,
Steve.
okay.
Great seeing you, brother.
Dave,
Good to see
I'm
you.
gonna log off. All right.
Okay.
See you
Sure,
again.
sure. I'm just
See you
leaving.
guys.
See you all.
Hey,
Bye-bye.
Mako,
Take care.
good to see you, brother. Hey,
Good to see
Mako,
you.
Mako,
Yo.
Mako, don't leave. Hey, do you know Joe Sison, right?
Yeah. I know Joe.
Oh, so did you see what happened to Heather?
No,
Do you know Heather?
no. Is that his wife or?
Well, I'm not sure that they ever. Well, I think that she had a couple of children with him recently, but she was killed in a car crash, and they just had the memorial the other day.
Oh my
She's
God.
got two young, like 3 and toddler infant kids.
Wow.
So Joe, yeah. So you know, I knew you knew Joe, and you know,
Man,
just
I'm so sorry to hear
so
that. Yeah.
I knew you knew him. I just wanted to suggest you offer up a prayer there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, he's I've known him for several years just through his business, down the street from us. We've done a little bit of work for him, and
Yeah.
he's just a young firecracker kind of young entrepreneur kind of guy starting that company of his and everything.
Yeah, and they've done well. They're having some struggles with this because a lot of companies aren't, you know, doing as much printing and stuff as they can.
Yep.
But
Yep.
he's still doing well, looking see how to do things better and differently and improving. So, but yeah, just pray for him. You know, if you talk to him, encourage him. He seems to be doing okay. This girl used to work at woman. She's 39 or whatever.
Man.
But she was she worked for him a little bit. She's a good friend of my daughter's. My daughter's actually, her Paradigm Shift Your Mind company is, Joe is now her supplier, of recycled or recovered components, and she's got an online technology business now, is thriving. So, on an eBay store. So, but Joe is still, so he's kind of like, in some respects, semi-family, because he's taking care of my daughter. You know, was working with him right out of college and stuff. So, anyway,
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna reach out to him.
I just thought you should know that. I know you're a man of encouragement and prayer, and so I know. Again, it's not a secret. You know, there's some posts and stuff and on Facebook and stuff like that, but just thought I'd put that on your radar.
Sure.
So,
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for thinking of me. Now, I'm going to definitely reach out to him and offer, my condolences.
yeah, as with these things, everything's pretty fresh. So just,
Yeah.
that's why I tell people that when the things are the freshest, what you can do and say is the least. But
Exactly.
just knowing that people are there is probably more important than anything. Just knowing that people are not ignoring you, or they know. So I just thought I'd offer that is just so you knew, because I know the kind of guy you are, and you probably would do what you said you were going to do, which is, encourage him, which Lord knows we can all use some encouragement, right?
That's for sure. All right, Dave. Thanks.
All right, brother. See ya. Have a good
All right.
one.
Be good. Bye-bye.